A busy day for the U.S. Special Counsel. New charges against one former Trump campaign staffer and a plea deal from another. In the meantime, missed warning signals in the Florida school shooting add to the heartbreak and the questions about prevention. Also, a second Russian athlete is found guilty of doping. CNN live in Pyeongchang with the details. We are live here at CNN World Headquarters in Atlanta. We want to welcome our viewers here in the United States and all around the world. I'm George Howell. The CNN Newsroom starts right now. 4 a.m. here on the U.S. East Coast, and the special counsel overseeing the Russia investigation is continuing to pile on the pressure. On Friday, Robert Mueller filed new charges against the former Trump campaign chairman, Paul Manafort. A new indictment accused him of secretly paying former European politicians to lobby in the United States on behalf of Ukraine. That indictment came hours after Manafort's former longtime aide, Rick Gates, pleaded guilty to 2 charges and agreed to cooperate with Mueller's Russia investigation. To talk about this, let's bring in Peter Mathews. Peter, a political analyst and professor of political science at Cypress College, joining from Los Angeles this hour. Peter, a pleasure to have you with us.
Good to be here, George.
With the Gates plea deal, what kind of pressure does this put on Paul Manafort? More specifically, though, what does Manafort know, and what could Mueller be trying to pull out of him?
Well, Gates and Manafort were with Mueller, with President Trump for quite a while, especially Gates. But what happened was Manafort went ahead and was charged by Mueller of using money secretly to pay former European politicians to lobby for the Ukraine and hiding it. And then Gates was charged, and Gates pleaded guilty to several other charges, and then Manafort was charged with these charges. So it looks like Mueller is onto something here. And he has a man who's been there right from the beginning and stayed on after Manafort left, and that's Mr. Gates, who's actually pleaded guilty as well. So that's going to be a very interesting case if he works with Mr. Mueller to give more information about this whole situation.
For those in the White House, those around the president, there has always been the word that this investigation will wrap up in a matter of months. But given what we're seeing right now, what does this say about the extent of Mueller's investigation? How much longer this might continue?
It's going to continue on and on for at least many months and possibly even a year or two, because there's more and more information coming up, and it looks like Mr. Mueller is getting closer possibly to what the president may or may not have known, and he's not going to let up until that happens. I think that when other people like maybe Kelly said this investigation will be over soon, it was just to get Mr. Trump not to interfere. That's the danger of it. Mr. Trump is seen to be interfering and possibly obstructing justice. That's the greatest danger. So that's maybe why others said it might be over soon, but I don't think that was the case, what they believed, actually. It shouldn't be over soon at all in the way it's going right now, especially with Manafort and Gates at this point doing what they're doing.
Well, this investigation certainly is front and center, and also the president chiming in on that deadly shooting that took place at a high school in the U.S. state of Florida. The president made some comments about that officer that stood outside the school, saying the officer didn't love the students, making a comparison that teachers would love them more, and essentially pushing his policy message forward about arming teachers. Obviously, the teachers' union has pushed against this. Do you see this going anywhere?
Well, I think this conflict is going to be resolved. It's got to be soon, and especially when teachers are being dragged into this thing. Most teachers don't want to have to be armed. They were never trained for that. When they took the job, they were never given that option or possibility. And so all of a sudden to put guns in teachers' hands, it's at the very least disingenuous. Imagine a shooter coming in with some automatic rifle or assault weapon. All of a sudden the teacher's got to reach for their gun in the desk or wherever and then load it or pull the bolt to make it be ready to fire, and then turn around and hit this guy with a crossfire, which everyone could be caught up in, could be even worse or just as bad, and end up shooting a lot of kids. So I think Mr. Trump is not being really very straightforward on this. He's trying to have it both ways. He wants to make it look like he's doing something about this horrible tragedy, and yet he's still being held back by the NRA and his voters to not ban assault weapons, because that's what you really need, is to ban these assault weapons so people like this guy Nicholas Cruz could not have gotten a hold of them. That was the problem. Easy access to assault weapons that can do devastating damage, as we've seen already.
The president's surely walking a fine line here, speaking, to the families here, these grieving families who lost loved ones at the same time, speaking to his base, speaking to many people who do support the NRA. And on the stage at CPAC, the president seemed to be very pro-NRA, later saying that these are good people that want to do the right thing. How does that square with the backlash that the NRA is getting, and does this president have the ability to direct the NRA in any direction?
I don't think he's going to end up benefiting from this at all if he takes the NRA side or is so soft on them, because now look at what's happening now. Many businesses are boycotting. They're going to disinvest from the NRA or get away from cooperating with them. And it's the brand risk is going on right now. The NRA has a terrible brand name at this point, and businesses are starting to fall away, like Enterprise Cars Rentals broke away from them, as did some other businesses. And this is not a good thing for the president to try to hang on, either politically or ethically, because in the end, 67% of Americans say that we should ban assault weapons. That would be a good beginning. And you saw the young people begging the Florida legislature to do so, and they wouldn't even consider it, and begging the president to get behind them, these young people who are leading the charge to make America safer. So I don't think Mr. Trump is doing quite the right direction right now with the way he's going, trying to placate the NRA at the same time, trying to really help America's children. If he wants to help them, he should take real action and not just come up with platitudes, so to speak.
All right, well, what about this, though? The president has advocated raising the age limit. The Florida governor has also done the same. This is in opposition to the NRA. So the question, do you see this as a major policy shift?
I see it as a very small step. It's a good step in the right direction, but it's not even close to what needs to be done, George, because just raising the age doesn't mean you're going to be able to stop most of these shooters. Many of them were above 21 or above, and they'll continue this thing as long as the assault weapons are so easily available. Look what happened in Australia. When they had a huge shooting in Port Arthur, what happened was the government, the conservative government, banned assault weapons, and immediately from then on, for the next couple of decades, there's been not even one single mass shooting in Australia. So we have examples of other societies. We know in our own country where the states that have a smaller amount of gun ownership have lower gun-related deaths, and vice versa. So we know the science behind it, the social science, and President Trump should go with the facts, and so should the NRA. And, no one is saying we should take away everyone's gun here at all. We're just saying that ban the kinds of guns that are real assault weapons, war-related weapons, not for hunting, not individual self-defense, and make young people and everyone else safer.
Peter Mathews, we appreciate your time and perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, George.